What do we have here? A lovely Brown Yeager. I think it's Yeager. I think it's Yeager, like Chuck Yeager. Beautiful knife. I love this. I heard someone calling it a putter uh, lasering, putter etching. I can kind of see that. I've seen putters, golf putters that have this sort of etching on here. I think this was a. Oh, yeah. I borrowed this to review it, and I don't remember what the guy said. Maybe like a Knife Center exclusive or some kind of exclusive or something. Or maybe he just ordered it this way. It might have just come from Brian Brown normally with this. But it was like, this is like an upgrade. I think maybe the colored back spacer and the collars and the bolts are probably a little upgrade too. Or maybe it's part of the same upgrade. It's a very cool looking knife. I like the look of it. What is striking about it? The way the tip of the blade just comes flat off, as though it was just cut by a laser, and there's no chamfering or anything on this edge. Okay, that's an interesting feature for sure. How quickly that blade comes down with that hollow grind down to a very, let me take off my ring so I don't scratch up this dude's knife, for a very thin edge there. Well, I mean it's pretty thin. I'd call it a thin edge. Yeah, I'd call that thin for sure. It's almost like a straight razor. And it kind of feels a little bit like a straight razor when you're touching it. Kind of has that feel. Yeah, it's hard to explain. It feels, I don't know, like a very hard steel down to a thin edge. It just has that kind of feel to it. Like you don't want to mess around and cut yourself with this thing because it'll be deep. How's the action? I was kind of surprised that the action wasn't better. And I'm not saying it's bad. Oh, I just about cut myself there. I'm not saying the action is bad. What's great about the action is the flipper is just perfectly built. Like it's hard to slip off of it. I'm like intentionally trying to slip off. But as long as you just press on, oh, it just pops. Flipper is terrific. The rectangle window, whatever you want to call it, Spidey hole type thing, great. And for the thumb too, pretty good. It could be a little sharper on the edge to catch the meat of your thumb. Like I miss on that one occasionally, but as long as I press down hard, it's going. And when it goes, it really hits hard on the thumb flick, especially if you're coming down there a little bit more, not all the way up at the top. At the top, I kind of slip out a little bit. That's what she said. Down here, it's like it really goes. It's nice. Now, why am I saying that it's not the best action? It has a feel to it as it's opening and even as it's closing that's a little gritty. And I think that just comes from the grind lines on the blade, on the flat of the blade up here, that extends down underneath. And then we have the detent in there running against those grind lines. And I think it's the grind lines that you're feeling, or I'm feeling. You can hear it. It's just a little rough, especially near this side of it. Out here near the open, for some reason it's smoother, but down here, you can hear it. I don't know. Hopefully you can hear it. So it's a tiny bit rough feeling. And then there's another little feeling thing to it that I didn't love, and it was, as it clicks open, it kind of has this hollow feel. And I wonder if that's because of the milling. It's fairly extensive milling to make the fairly thick titanium handles lighter. So they're milled out fairly heavily, especially along this area and all through here. This whole thing is skeletonized inside. I don't know if you can see it very well or not, but it's in there. It's like multiple windows of cutting down into the tie. That may be what gives it this kind of a little bit of a hollow feel when it hits open. It's a pretty light knife. Balance point is good though, because it does have kind of a thick, beefy blade, so it's well balanced. Yeah, I would say it's very well balanced. Now, I never messed with the Yeager before, so I don't have anything to compare it to except a Brown Raptor. And when you compare it to the Raptor, now this is a user Raptor, it's been used a lot, but it is just, the Raptor is ridiculously smooth. Now, maybe when it was new, maybe it had that same kind of feeling. I don't think so though. Even though this is skeletonized, it has just a more solid feel. I don't know how to describe it, but it's very smooth. It feels solid in the hand, while this one feels a little, I don't know how to describe it. I think it is about the milling inside and how it's kind of made it. Let's see, let's try something. Okay, yeah, let's hear that. See how that sounds? Kind of sounds hollow. Yeah, especially over here. And let's compare that. Just very solid sounding. I think that's it. I think that's the difference, is that extensive milling on this flat tie. Maybe they bring the milling up very far to where there's only a thin little skin of tie right there left. I don't know. Let's see. It does seem like that. It seems like maybe they cut out too much. But the balance is great. So if you're looking for the right balance, they did good. I don't know what it is about it that makes it feel kind of funny to me. I would have cut a little bit less titanium out of the milling and maybe made the backspacer smaller and thinner to make up that weight. You know, maybe make the clip a tiny bit thinner too. The clip, kind of oddly shaped for the rest of the knife. I'm not sure if I'm getting it. The curve kind of matches this curve, just aesthetically. You know, it's a knife that had a lot of thought put into it, so you'd expect it to kind of come together, and I don't know. I guess it does. It doesn't bother me. I don't hate it or anything. Just feel like maybe the clip actually kind of comes up a little bit as it starts, then goes back down. I feel like it should have matched this line straight. I mean, that's personal preference, obviously. Pivot surrounds being cool, colored like that. It's nice. Colored bolts, very cool. Dead centered blade. And like I said, the flicking, you know, the reverse flick is just great. The thumb opening is damn near, you know, once I'm used to it, I don't fuck it up. I fucked it up a few times at first, you know, like trying to get, especially up near the top. You almost kind of got to put your thumb on it and then jam your thumb into it a little bit and then pop it, and then it goes easy. But if you just kind of put your thumb to it and try to go, it can miss or go light like that. Yeah, I definitely like it. It's a cool knife for sure. It's got a lot of things going for it, but just don't love that. Just feels kind of hollow. Yeah, that's what bugs me about it a little bit. Oh, a little tiny bit of, I'm not going to call it lock stick. I'm going to call it lock noise. So as you unlock the lock, let's see. See if you can hear that. So that was the noise right there. A little lock noise. It's not hard to unlock at all. Great. Just a gigantic amount of pass-through there to get to the lock, even though that lock bar side isn't raised at all compared to the other side. There's just so much room, and it's beveled really nicely to where the lock access is just terrific. But let's see. Ouch, I cut myself there. So that's the noise it makes. I don't know. I did cut myself. Look at that. The blade fell into my thumb only like literally a 1/4 inch and just touched me. That sucker is sharp, man. Good job. Good job on the edge. Oh, okay. That's the other downside that I noticed. So a little hollowy feeling, a little tiny bit of lock stick, but I'm not going to call it lock stick. A little tiny bit of lock noise. Okay. Everything else about it is awesome, except what the fuck, guys, with the goddamn choil again. Same shit is on the Raptor. You could have just brought the fucking choil up another 1/8 of an inch and you would have been able to sharpen it all day. But right now, they actually had, you can see, they had to stop sharpening before they got to the choil, or else they would have made one of those little smiley marks, because it would have been like this little point here would have been sharpened and the back edge would have been way down, like making a little smile. So what the fuck? It's the same thing on this goddamn thing, which is an awesome knife, except Jesus Christ, just bring the goddamn choil in a little further. The choil should come up past the end of that sharpened edge. Okay, so that's what it's for. It's for bringing the edge down to a point where you don't have to stop sharpening it before you get to the fat, where the metal gets fat. So the metal gets fat right there. Come on, you bastard. The metal gets fat right there, and you have to stop sharpening it before you get down to it. Same thing with this one. You can see where they stop sharpening, right there. Why have a choil at all? They could have just brought it all the way down. Then they could have sharpened it down a little more. But, well, no, probably not. Couldn't have really sharpened it much more unless you brought this angle down some more. But you could have done that. That would have been better than having a choil that doesn't actually do anything. So really, you need to put this on your grinder and grind it out a little bit more. Yeah, I'm not doing that. It's in my knife. If I owned it, I would. Oh, look at that, a little more blood. I'm suing. Right. Anyway, I think it's a really cool knife. I like 90% of the things about it. Like the opening, excellent. The sound that makes when it opens. You know what, that's the funny thing. It has this little bit of grittiness to it. Okay? But what's funny is, on the opening, it's almost like a feature instead of a bug. It sounds neat. It almost sounds like a zipper, kind of rip, rip. That's that sound. That's that. Let's see. Wonder if I can slow it down in the video and listen to it. Let's hear. I'm going to try and see if you can hear, because it's like brink, brink, kind of like that. Anyway, it's a cool sound, but not the best feel. So the feel is kind of funny. I don't know. Hopefully that made sense. Very cool knife. Two cool knives. Of the two, I would grab the Raptor. I like the Yeager, but the Raptor is, I think it's something a little special. I think it's special amongst knives. I wish they had an XL that was just half-inch longer, half-inch longer. That would be excellent. A little bit taller. Just everything blown up by 10%, whatever you want to call it, you know, 10, 15%. Amazing knife. Okay, got amazing knife, really good knife. Anyway, that's my stupid opinion on this Brian Brown knife. Have a nice day.